Hi everyone, I'm Dr.Animaction. Welcome to what will hopefully be the first of many top 10-ish lists. In these lists, we'll be looking at a specific aspect of 80s action cartoons and deciding which shows or characters did them best. These lists won't be as in-depth as cartoonical analysis, and at times may even conflict with what I say there. You'll have to make sure to watch all of these episodes to find out if that's the case. In the event that it is, it's probably because these top 10-ishes will mostly be considering a combination of arbitrary measures, specifically the cool factor and how much I personally like something. With that being said, let's jump into the list. This is the top 10 field leaders in 80s action cartoons. Number 10. Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Leonardo leads. It's what he does. It says so right there in the theme song. However, he may not do so quite as well as the others on this list. Sure, he's probably the best ninja out of the four turtles, so I'm betting that's what his leader status was based on, but he didn't really issue commands that often. It usually just seemed like the turtles knew how to work together without that kind of direction. His role seemed more mother hen-ish, chastising the turtles when they misbehaved, and when he did try to take charge, Raphael would generally blow him off anyway. But he kept trying, so he gets points for persistence, and he makes the list for the iconic stature of the Ninja Turtles overall. That, and for using swords. Two of them. Number 9. Lion-O from Thundercats. Lion-O is probably one of the first characters people think of when 80s cartoons come up. He had great character design and great weapons. The light blue booty shorts and knee-high boot combo wasn't doing him any favors, but it says something for the character that he was cool enough to overcome that. But as far as being a leader, it's probably best to remember that he's just a kid. And because he's a kid, he tends to do stupid things and get himself into trouble. A lot. So a majority of the heavy decision making in the show fell to the other Thundercats, but they always made sure Lion-O agreed. So he led in the capacity of an approving official and representative, but he did those things pretty well. Honestly though, he makes the list because of the Sword of Omens and the Sweet Gauntlet. It's some of the best gear in 80s action, and he just happens to be attached to it. Number 8. Victor Vector from Ring Raiders. I know a lot of you may be thinking, who? From what? Others of you probably know the character and are thinking, number 8, after only 5 episodes? But yeah, he makes the list because it's my list and pilots are cool. Plus he flies a pretty awesome stealth fighter. But this is a list about leaders, and he proved in fewer episodes than any other entry that he really was a leader. He came down hard on pilots who disobeyed orders. He treated his team members as equals and didn't put up with it when other members didn't. And most of all, he had a name that always made me think of the pre-flight scene from Airplane. What's our vector, Victor? Number 7. Optimus Prime from Transformers. What needs to be said about Optimus Prime? I mean, other than an explanation of why he's this low on the list, because I'm sure I'll get more than a little disagreement on the placement. Yes, he's an icon who grew beyond his 80s roots. Little kids today still recognize him, and he's still essentially the same character he's always been. He's strong, courageous, self-sacrificing, and heroic, almost to a fault. It's almost to the point where he's a character of that character type, rather than the archetype itself. Almost to the point of boring, and that's why he's so low on the list. There. I said it. Optimus Prime is boring. He's the Superman of 80s animation. All of the power and all of the best traits magnified to such a degree that they're kind of one-dimensional. Plus those hero speeches. I mean, come on. One will stand and one will fall. Leave the melodrama at the door, Optimus. But even with all that, I can't deny his status as one of the greats, and so here he is. Number 6. Leoric from Visionaries. Leoric has a lot going for him. He's a king, or prince, or whatever. He turns into a lion. He has the answer to any question at his fingertips, assuming he can solve the riddle it comes in, and he rocks an awesome 80s stash. The Robin's Egg blue armor could have used a coat of paint, and the whip was pretty lame as far as kingly weapons go, but overall, he was a great character. As far as leadership, he proved how dedicated he was to the other knights on more than one occasion, and how open he was to their advice and input. He was a good administrator, being very diplomatic in his dealings with the city council of New Leoric. He prefers peaceful solutions, but is more than willing to fight, and he's a problem solver. All good traits for a leader to have. And did I mention he turns into a lion? Because he turns into a freaking lion. Number 5. Quicksilver from Silverhawks. The Silverhawks are the space bird version of the Thundercats. Let's all face that fact, because it's true. They were capitalizing on the same theme and design of the Cats, but they were also a lot more. Their role as more of a military-type unit meant they needed more from a leader than the Cats got with Lion-O, and Quicksilver provided that. More than most on this list, he was a leader that actually led in a fight. He strategized and issued commands and assignments in a very leader-y way. Not to mention he had all those same 80s action hero qualities that all of his contemporaries possessed. He also benefits from a terrific character design with the retractable wings and mask and shiny chrome visage. He looks heroic and suits the leader part amongst his team. Plus he had Tallyhawk for a partner, and if the most recent Assassin's Creed games have taught me anything, it's that bird partners rule. Number 4. Matt Tracker from Mask. Okay, listen. I know I said that Optimus was boring, and that's part of the reason I put him so low. And yes, I realize that as far as characters go, Matt is also pretty boring. But he's boring in personality rather than in characterization. His voice and civilian persona are pretty plain, but his decision-making, investigative ability, and organizational skills aren't. He's not just the leader of Mask, he's also the founder of the team, and at least contributed to the creation of a lot of their technology. That, and he's also some kind of millionaire, though I'm not really sure where his money comes from. In one episode he drops the line, "One of my companies provide whatever," suggesting he runs a conglomerate of some kind. Honestly, even considering the boring, he's a pretty good leader and a strong character, and his design is pretty good as well. Unless he's wearing Ultra Flash. That mask is kind of stupid looking. He also loses points because he can't keep his son in check. See that, Scott? You mess things up for your dad. Again. Number 3. Baldwin P. Vess, better known as Bulletproof, from Cops. Bulletproof is cool. He gets seriously messed up in a car accident, but still manages to take out the guys who come after him in the hospital. Plus, he always wears sunglasses. Always. He's also got a great classic gumshoe design and an awesome pun for a name. But that's not what makes him a good leader. Instead, it's his handling of cases and management of the officers under his command that does that. He's constantly shown as keeping up to date with all of his officers' investigations and providing them the guidance they need to break their cases. He knows his job and how to manage his resources, making him an excellent administrator, but he's just as effective on the street. He's had plenty of lead from the front moments throughout the series. Overall, he's the total package for a leader, which puts him this high on the list. He only misses out on the top 2 spots because the other leaders in front of him move at a much faster pace. Number 2. Mark from Battle of the Planets. Mark possesses all of the qualities of the other leaders on this list, and does more actual leading than most of them in his particular show. He issues orders and commands, responds to situations appropriately, and takes initiative when he knows the leaders above him are wrong. His team mostly respects him, except for when Jason's feeling especially emo. He's an overall excellent field commander. That by itself would probably qualify him for the number 2 spot, but in addition to all that, is the fact that he's probably cooler than all of the others on this list. His costume is great, with a very Batman quality. The bird aesthetic and the helmet design is subtle enough, but cuts an epic profile. Yet in the end, none of that really matters at all either. We can summarize his coolness in 2 simple words: science ninja. And that's it. He's a future ninja with superpowers that flies an awesome spaceship. My cool meter can't even take an accurate measurement. I guess we just need to move on. Number 1. Flint from G.I. Joe. When it comes to field leaders, Flint is probably the most competent one the Joes have throughout the animated series. Unlike Duke, he doesn't tend to get captured or shot down that often. He leads from the front, but he still knows when to give commands to someone better suited to a task, and he doesn't put up with other Joes giving him attitude. But beyond that, he's just cool. He wears a beret, even if it was a ranger color beret at the time, and even if he did so in a way that wouldn't fly in the real military. After all, the crest on his beret, you know, the little pin on the front, was a Special Forces crest. So he probably should have had a green beret, but black was most likely more aesthetically pleasing for his character design. Beyond that though, he drove a red convertible sports car, and he was dating Lady J. Those both had significant cool points for him. And if we look beyond the animated series, you can find all the proof you need about how awesome Flint is just by reading the last paragraph on his original 1985 file card. As far as I'm concerned, all of these things make Flint the best of the 80s team leaders. So there you go. That's my list, and my reasoning, unreasonable as some of it may be. There were plenty of others to choose from, like Aloe, Dirk Courage, Questar, Captain Power, just so many, but these were my 10. I have no doubt that all of you have your own opinions on who should be on the list, let alone what order they should be in, so let me know those opinions in the comments. But anyway, like the big YouTube kids say, like, comment, subscribe, bell. Thanks for watching. I'm hoping to do top 10-ishes weekly, so stay tuned, and stay tuned. Like cartoons, because animation. Later.